Good morning, all. Got a gray day here in St. Pete on the water. It's not always sunny here. Mostly, but not always. I love this gray weather. I love these cool mornings. I wanted to chat this morning a little bit about, well, let's just call it a way to apply being that I think is very practical for folks. Hey, good morning. So, for a lot of us, and I'll count myself in that company, being can feel like an abstraction. Like we can talk about it, but am I really getting it? And that's frankly that's the nature of being. As soon as you talk about being, it ain't being anymore. It's doing. The nature of being is such that you can't give prescriptions for being. You can't do your way to being. You can't tell somebody how to be. One of the analogies I love sharing as it relates to being, and I don't know if it's not original, we'll put it that way. You've never seen your own face. Truthfully, nobody human, no human being has ever seen their own face. Now, some might be thinking, well, I look in the mirror every day. Wonderful. That's not your face. That is a reflection of your face. It's a pretty good approximation, but you will never see your own face from the perspective, of looking at another human's face. So too with being. You'll never see your being. It is you. It is the face you can look at in the mirror, but never really fully get a sense of what it is, because I think of it as it's in the world of the formless, as Michael Neal likes to say. So, what I wanted to share this morning is a way of being, a way of practicing being, a way of applying being that I think is very practical for people. But I want to be clear, it's not a prescription for being, it's not a to-do, it's not a fix for anything, it's just a way to look at a situation and ask the question, who would I need to be in order to? And see what shows up there. So, when we're experiencing life as difficult or sad or frustrating or exhausting, there's a tendency to want to be out of that place, right? We would all identify those words, frustrating, sad, hard, as experiences of life that we, want to shift, right? If life is showing up as hard, as difficult, well, maybe I would want it to be easy. If life is showing up, if circumstances are being created as sad, well, I would want to be happy. If I'm experiencing life from a anxious perspective, I'd like to be calm. Yet, in my experience, and I'm just speaking from my personal experience, so you guys can look at this how you like, it is impossible to get from sad to happy, from hard to easy, from frustrating to peaceful, directly. It's one of these, you can't get there from here. Now, some people are saying, well, of course you can. I've been sad and then I was happy. Bear with me a moment. As far as duality, right? Duality is the nature of things. Light, dark, happy, sad, peaceful, calm, frustrated, anxious. Duality exists. That is the nature of the human experience. However, between those two points exists neutrality, exists peace. I would also call that acceptance. So, the journey from difficult, frustrating to easy or fun must traverse the center point called neutral. And we forget this. We're in a situation that's difficult, or we're creating it as difficult. We see it as difficult. We're experiencing it as difficult, challenging. And we go, I just want it to be easy, or I just want it to not be hard. That's a whole nother conversation when we take a not, N-O-T, and try to make that our navigation tool. I'm not going to talk about that today. But we certainly want to get to the other side. I'm sad. I just want to be happy. I feel alone. I just want to be connected. I want to feel connected. And again, from my personal experience, and I'd invite you to look at this. I'm not giving you a prescription like do this, but I'm inviting you to look at this for yourself. You want to get from sad to happy, you got to come through this middle spot called neutrality, peace. Oftentimes people mistake peace with joy or happiness or all this positive stuff. For me, peace is neutrality. Peace is absolute acceptance of what is as is without resistance to it. So, for example, if I'm wrestling with a challenge, and this could be a client situation I'm working through, could be trying to fix the toilet in my house, doesn't really matter, and I'm experiencing that circumstance as difficult, and I'm starting to feel frustration. Well, most people go, I want this to be easy. They want the hard to go away and be right at easy. For me, I need to pass through neutrality, peace, to get to the other side. So what's often required, or what I do, is I stop. Right? There's an expression, if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. Right? If you get to a dead end, you got to turn around first. You have to stop moving in one direction and turn around. And to me, that's how I think about all experiences of life, any experience of life. If a problem is showing up as difficult, I don't try to make it easy. I don't try to figure out how to get it easy. Good morning to everybody joining. First thing I do is stop. First thing I do is whatever energy I'm applying to the task or the situation or the relationship, I stop. Stop working, stop speaking, stop thinking, put my tools down. I'm not going to find my way to easy from hard directly. I got to pass through neutrality. Something's frustrating. I'm not going to get to unfrustrated like that. I have to step back and stop energizing whatever it is that is producing frustration in me. If I'm sad, I can't get to happy. I need to be in acceptance of my sadness. And the way I think about it is that brings me to neutral. And from neutral, I can navigate wherever I want to go. The other morning, I came upon something that my wife Louisa was working on. She was trying to put away, it's a very simple story, a new cutting board that we bought. And it was a larger cutting board, and I saw how it was in the cabinet. It was kind of crammed in there, and I could see the whole scene that must have happened unfolding, like how it would go, where she was trying to get the cutting board to fit in there long ways because that's the way the other one was. And she got it in there, but it wasn't really working. And I just, when you come upon a situation, you just know what happened there. And well, I grabbed the cutting board and I put it like this, and it slid right in. We were chatting about it a day or two later. She goes, how did you know to do that? I said, well, it was obvious because of where I was when I showed up there. I wasn't frustrated, right? This wasn't hard, trying to make it easy. This was nothing to me. This was neutral. And I literally think about this like, duality always contains both ends of the spectrum, hot, cold, light, dark. You cannot travel to the other side of duality without passing through neutrality. If you're angry at someone, well, you have to first be at peace and in acceptance of whatever is as is, if you want to get to understanding or love or whatever you think is on the other side of that, or even, joy and connectedness. So whatever situation you're in, any energy you keep applying to try to get out of where you're at or to do something about the experience actually keeps you stuck there. If I'm angry, trying to not get angry or get unangry or get happy keeps me there, applies more energy. Another analogy for this, which first made its appearance in Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, which is a fun book to read. Somewhere in the book they talk about the monkey hunters of Borneo, who, I don't know if it's a true story or not, doesn't really matter. It's a useful story whether it's real or not. Well, apparently they sell these rare monkeys to the zoo, so they want to catch the monkeys without harming them, without disfiguring them in steel traps and cages. It causes a lot of problems. So what the monkey hunters do is they take a specific gourd that's found somewhere in Borneo, I guess, and they hollow it out, and the gourd is a ball-shaped thing, but it has a long neck, and the neck opening will fit the monkey's hand in there. The monkey can reach in, but if the monkey were to grab something inside the gourd, well, now it's a fist and it can't come out. So they chain these gourds to a tree or something, and they throw these green bananas all over the place, and they put some in the gourd. So the monkeys are scampering amongst the treetops, and one of the monkeys goes, "Hey, green bananas, let's go check it out." As all the monkeys are going down there grabbing the bananas, one of the monkeys reaches into the gourd and grabs the banana. And in the grabbing of the banana, well, they're trapped. They're stuck. They cannot extricate themselves from the narrow opening because they're making a fist, because they're holding on to something. And I love that as an analogy for how there's so many circumstances in life and experiences we have in life where we just want out. We want away from. But we're not going to get away from anything by putting energy into it to get away from it, right? These monkeys, they struggle and they freak out. They never think to just let go of the banana. So too with anger, frustration, hurt. We want so much for it to be gone, and we're putting all our energy into making it. It's like we're holding on to that banana. Well, first thing you got to do is let go. Stop everything. Stop all energy that you're putting towards this experience. And just hand slides right out of the trap. Whenever a problem shows up as difficult for me, I know that I'm creating it as difficult from a state of being. My being is producing difficulty here. And that simply comes from a lot of years of working with this, right? I didn't always believe this, and I had to test it and try it to really learn to trust it, right? Because we think, and we've been taught, well, you got to work the problem. Well, what if you just left it alone? Oh, I can't do that. I got to solve it, right? More energy. So I would invite you to practice this, to think about this in circumstances where, for you personally, the stakes are low. You can practice experiencing a situation that you'd like to be free from, and rather than trying to struggle and get yourself away free, simply relaxing into it, coming from a state of being of, I accept this is how it is. Pain works this way too, believe it or not. If I want to be not in pain, well, I'm focusing on the pain. The other night, I bashed my finger. I don't know if you can see that, but it's all black and blue. Sitting in a restaurant, and I don't need to go into the details, but I haven't been in this much pain in a long time. And for about the first minute and a half, 2 minutes, I was just incensed with rage that this has happened, a little bit embarrassed. And I wanted this pain, like, I don't want to be in pain. And then I caught myself and I said, oh, here I go, holding on to the banana. Let me accept the pain. I mean, literally, my brain, it was like, I'm in pain. Let's pretend that's never going anywhere. I accept that I'm in pain. I may be in pain forever. It sounds like a weird thought, but that's acceptance. Nothing I can do about it. And in that moment, I start to feel relief, and I was able to shift to a better experience. Now I could move towards enjoyment of my dinner, not focusing on the pain, not trying to be away from the pain. I'll state again that it's very important you don't perceive what I'm talking about as like a recipe or a technique or a prescription. It's a concept, and I would invite you to ask the question, right? Whenever you're presented with an experience of life that is unpleasant or undesirable, you want to be done with it, who would I need to be okay with this? To be an acceptance of it, right? Because what I'm saying is, what you want is on the other side. You got to pass through acceptance. You can't. There's no direct route from one to the other. You got to pass through it. So the sooner you get to or experience acceptance, the sooner you can start creating another experience. The more you resist the experience you're in, the negative experience, the more you're creating that experience and keeping it going. So who would I need to be to accept that I got no idea what to do with this cutting board? Who would I need to be to accept the idea that my toilet is completely disassembled and I have no idea what to do with it and I'm frustrated? I'm just going to walk away, right? Because our brain says, no, stick with the problem. No, drop it. Let it go completely. Because what's on the other side of that is access to the solution. Who would I need to be an acceptance of my anger, my jealousy, to be at peace with whatever's going on, right? If you're jealous, well, you don't want to be jealous. I want to be not jealous. Well, it keeps you jealous. Starts with acceptance of your jealousy. I'm jealous. Okay, cool. Now I'm not fighting that anymore. That brings me to neutrality about whatever it is. Okay, from here, what do I want to choose? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to navigate? Who would I need to be okay with this situation such that I'd be neutral in acceptance of, at peace with whatever is as it is, and then move from there. So give it a shot. I'd love to hear how it goes for you. Again, the more you practice this, the more you play with it, the more you will trust it. You start out with very benign things like, the cutting board story I was sharing earlier. And eventually you can take this to very high stakes scenarios. Often I'm even in a conversation with a client I'm stuck. Like we're talking, but I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do here. Right? Not that I'm lost, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about, where you're in a situation and you feel like you're stuck. I want to be unstuck. I want to have insight. Well, no, first you got to get to the neutral point. So being okay with, I'm lost. All of a sudden you're neutral. Now it's like, oh, well, found is over that way. But again, higher stakes situations require some trust of this, so practice it. Anytime you're in a situation and are having an experience that you would characterize as negative, unpleasant, or unwanted, right? Burn your tongue on a cup of coffee, right? That's pretty low stakes. Frustrated at the wait at a restaurant or with a server, right? Who would I need to be okay with this right now, to be in acceptance of this as perfect? And then see what's on the other side of that. Hope you all have an amazing Sunday.